Midas Radio 90.5 FM.
Information is power. Information is life. Information is what you need to navigate your daily lives. And that is what Paper Trend stands for on Midas Radio 90.5 FM.
Fasten your seatbelts. Let's take you around the newspapers across Nigeria.
We don't just reel out the stories. We also bring diverse analysis to the issues. We give you, the listeners, ample time to share your thoughts on the issues.
Join us from 7:30 to 8:30 in the morning, Mondays to Fridays.
For Paper Trends, a paper review show you can't afford to miss. Only on Midas Radio 90.5 FM.
Someone had this to say at some time, and this person was quoted to have said, "Every morning brings a fresh hope that yesterday's troubles cannot steal from your beautiful soul." So whatever happened yesterday, however ugly it is, and permit me to use this, I don't know why it comes to mind, unbeautiful. I don't know if that exists anyway, but you know what I'm talking about. However uninteresting that happened, it cannot steal from your beautiful soul. That will also take me to another one I found really interesting and has been helping me with the way I look at life and take strategic decisions. Never underestimate the power you have to take your life in a new direction. Now, supporting that, we note this. When you say you take your life in a new direction, everything that you do, whether you're up here today, you're silent tomorrow, you are very energetic this minute, and again, you feel you have to relax a little. Yes, you have the power to take your life in a new direction. And indeed, we have the power to take Nigeria in a new direction. That's what we're here to talk about. That's what we're here to do. A great morning to you. I welcome you to a beautiful new week. It's a nice day of March. Now, when you talk about March, it's very, very beautiful for me. I mean, it's an important month for me. And for persons who know, well, let's leave it at that. And so it's been an exciting mood for me. Even since the year started, it's been very, very exciting for me. And so as we go today, the first edition of Paper Trends on Midas Radio 90.5 FM, your host, BUKOLA FORTUNE-OMOSOLA, is set to take you on this jolly ride. Let's see what the papers are telling us today. Let's check out what we have in the nation today. Rewarding others for RCCG Summit. Judgment Day for PDP. ECOWAS pushes ahead with common currency plan. Oh, wow. How beautiful will that get? Our analyst will help us out discussing the story this morning. Ekiti Osun 2026 Gilbert polls crucial test for APC ahead of 2027 elections. PDP jostles for membership begins e-registration in Ondo. Tunji Disu Oyedele revving up governance engine. Inside the Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC, any chances in 2027? If you tuned in to Hot 5 on last Friday, we took a few minutes to talk about this. Now, Siraki Dixon is at the center. I mean, the latest when you talk about movement to the Nigeria Democratic Congress. And so what chances does that tell us about? And that's exactly what what the nation is talking here. Any chances at 2027? Osun 2026, APC strengths, setbacks, state ranks amongst lowest in membership registration. 2027 general election, the digital litmus test. Let's see entertainment stories now. Actress Sarah Martins apologizes for roadside cooking. There was a response from Lagos state government yesterday. Oh, interestingly, I find that here. Lagos warns actress Sarah Martins over street cooking. Okay. So that's to tell you that we are really following all of these details one after the other. Okay, yesterday, March 8, every year is International Women's Day. And it was a day I thought about my strength. I thought about all the energy that I've got. I thought about the past, thought about the present, and of course, deeply, interestingly, about the future. It's a day that we all come out. Well, we celebrate ourselves every day. It's a special day. Like you always want to take yourself out to do one or two every day. You always have birthdays, right? And so that's the day you were born. And so that day seems to be very special to many persons. So we have some people who do not celebrate. But just like that, it is with the IWD, International Women's Day. Every woman across the world get together on that day. Some way, somehow, some in the corners of their room, some getting to work like this, like we're doing right now. Some probably in pain. But we still recognize the strength that we have as women. There's so much power in you, only if you don't know how to use it. And so bringing this to what's happening in the entertainment industry, Caroline Danjuma condemns a stigma against divorced women. I never felt blessed. Faina recounts painful childhood struggles with birth name. And so you see, a lot of women go through a whole lot, but still come out strong. And that's what I want every woman listening right now to feel. That's what I want you to live. All right, now I'll take you through Vanguard very quickly. 2027 polls. Parties scramble to meet Electoral Act deadline. This is going to be a very interesting journey. New dates, new timelines. INEC has spoken. How quick do these parties react? Iran names Mujtaba Khamenei new supreme leader after Father's Day. So he was just among the contenders. I mean, we had three of them who were contending to fill that space his father left. That's the supreme leader. That's Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And so Iran has named the son after his father to take the position. His father, who was killed in this ongoing war between the U.S., Iran, and Israel. But there are fears already. What happens next? Federal government set to roll out 100 billion naira solar program for public institutions. What's happening with PHCN? What's going on? You know, on the internet, I mean, several discussions you find there. And indeed, this form what eventually spreads to people. You cannot neglect all of the talk. So a lot of persons had to talk about NEPA again. Is this to tell Nigerians that we're not making a headway when it comes to this? And if you have been following, interestingly, you must have seen what has transpired with the Minister of Power over the internet. The internet has been agog with all sorts of names, all sorts of title. Billions of naira dollars has been pumped into this. What exactly is going on with these funds? How has it gotten this bad? Okay, let's get to Punch newspaper now. Rising fuel prices, NNPC may supply foreign crude to Dangote refinery. Federal government hails Zulum for expanding technical vocational education in Borno. Obi slams leaders for ignoring insecurity, concentrating on election. Iran launches missiles as Khamenei's son takes charge. Missiles into where? We also had a discussion on Hot 5 on Friday. The interest defection and the 2027 equation in Adamawa PDP. Makinde Wike camps confident as appeal court rules today. And that's what the Nation newspaper was talking about earlier. It quoted the headline as this judgment day for PDP. Facts subcommittees get 11.5 billion naira for 2026 budget planning. Pope warns of regional spillover from Israel-Iran war. Business stories, practical steps to overcome rampant begging culture. Nigeria NLG cargo diverted to Asia amid price surge. And 2-3 more stories in the Sun newspaper before I get my analyst on board this Monday. Mojtaba Khamenei succeeds father as Iran's supreme leader. Insecurity, our nation under siege. Peter Obi. Trump reacts to Mojtaba Khamenei's emergence as Iran's new supreme leader. Who else is interested in knowing what exactly Donald Trump is saying about the reign or the emergence of Mojtaba Khamenei? Suspect in custody following shooting incident in Rihanna's home. Well, from entertainment, from the Sun newspaper today, Tenny joins Remi Tinubu on stage at IWD event, defies security protocol. Of course, that video has been everywhere too. And you can see how dramatic she was. Indeed, an entertainer, if you ask me. And that's about all the stories we'll take this morning on Paper Trend on this dial. Midas Radio 90.5 FM. And so in a few seconds, I'll get on our analyst for today, Engineer Muyiwa Obajuju. Kindly stay with us. All right, now we have engineer with us, Engineer Muyiwa Obajuju. A great morning to you. I hope you had a fantastic weekend and you're all set to go this week.
Yes, good morning, Buke. I hope you have a awesome weekend too.
Oh, yes, indeed. I had one. Thank you very much. Indeed. Indeed. All right, so let's get to this. A judgment day for PDP. And that's in the Nation newspaper. Appeal court judgment today in 9 consolidated cases on crisis, shifting in fresh move to save party. Torn apart by internal crises by varying dimensions, the People's Democratic Party has arrived on the edge. Today, the Court of Appeal will deliver judgment on the court cases over the party's leadership tussle. Two of the key cases were instituted by factions led by the national chairman, Taminu Turaki, and the chairman of the National Caretaker Committee, Abdulrahman Mohammed. The appellate court consolidated 9 suits arising from the dispute and constituted a 3-member panel to hear the appeals. The panel, which concluded its hearing on February 12, reserved judgment and is expected to deliver its decision today. At the center of the dispute is a question of which faction constitutes the legitimate leadership and therefore has the authority to nominate candidates for next year's election. So, what are your expectations with this? There are 2 sides. So today we're going to know finally which faction exactly are we going to say is for the PDP at the national level. And of course, this will have an impact on what happens with whatever elections are going on across board, in state elections, off-cycle elections, and even the general elections to happen next year. So what's your position on this? What are you expecting to see from this decision today at the appellate court?
Today we make or man the party. Depends on the enemy that will come out today. And don't forget there will be a lot of injunctions. One restraining that, saying that, what happened in Ibadan is not known and that everything is null and void. Another one is the judgment that recognized weakest faction, whereby INEC now was holding meeting with them. And so a lot of issues are on the ground. But whatever happens today, we don't decide what happens to PDP. And whether they are still party or they are dead. And don't forget, this has affected a lot of people, especially the candidacy of PDP in the state, talking of Mr. Oluyede, and is part of it. The judgment also will affect him, whether it's going to return or not return, and a lot of issues. So everybody is just speculating. But going by the law of the land, I think they have always said this several times that whatever happens at the party level, that is not a matter to be decided by the court. So maybe, and Supreme Court has affirmed that severally. We are hoping to see whether the court also will rule. I mean, that all the suspension placed on their former members like Wike and all of them will be null. We hold. But if the court decides otherwise, then it means that Wike and all of them are out. Then it also means that the INEC will stop recognizing them. And then, so, which means that the Wike's faction will have to look for either to continue with PDP or to join another party. And don't forget, we can say it's APC, PDP, APC. So, so it doesn't even matter about all that. Then it also decide whether the Ibadan Convention will also still hold. And if it holds, it means an decision taking player we continue. So there are a lot of speculations about it. But the one that I do know is that the one that Supreme Court has only been affirming, that the internal problems of the party, the court cannot adjudicate over it, and that is within the party, and the party should go and resolve it. So if that holds, then it means that the party will still be in charge, and that all the Congress not done in Ibadan and all the secretary are so appointed, we continue to take the reign and begin communicate with INEC in terms of congresses and whatever communication or whatever decision they have taken. Right. INEC will not begin to recognize them. I think INEC is waiting for this judgment to know which way to go for PDP.
Okay, then. So we get to this other story this morning, and that's ECOWAS. ECOWAS pushes ahead with common currency plan. This is not the first time we're getting this story, and so I'm sure that's why the headline was even written that way. A lot of things that hampered this from happening before, but let's see if there are other efforts or other measures in place to see that this comes to fruition. CBN Governors Liberia meeting raises tempo. No final decision on when ECO, the proposed common currency for West Africa, will begin despite progress by most member countries of the sub-regional bloc in meeting the economic conditions for its commencement. Sources familiar with the development told The Punch over the weekend that discussions on the currency reached a high tempo with a meeting by central bank governors and finance ministers of the member nations in Monrovia, the Liberian capital, a fortnight ago. 10 of the 12 ECOWAS members were said to have met the primary conditions or a set of economic criteria needed to pave the way for the takeoff of the currency. The conditions are known as convergence criteria. The primary conditions include maintaining a budget deficit of no more than 3% of GDP, keeping annual average inflation rate at or below 5%, limiting central bank financing of government deficits to not more than 10% of the previous year's tax revenue, and maintaining a gross external reserves that can cover at least 3 months of import. The secondary criteria include keeping public debt at no more than 70% of nominal GDP and ensuring that national currencies do not fluctuate by more than 10% against the West African unit of account. So it's a whole lot here. I wish we would have total detail of all of the nations that have met this, because if you say 10 have met that, then we have 2 others. Now, we don't know where we fall in all of that, but the indices are there. So I don't know how you analyze that this morning to say if Nigeria has scaled through with all of the indices we have there. And is this something that we are really ready for, or that we should consider? Talking about, bilateral relations, trade, and what have you in West Africa.
Well, ECO will be a very, if it's scaled through, will be something that can really stand against the dollar. At least it's going to be stronger. But the condition is the issue, because now some of the conditions that was put in that place, when you look at some of those countries, you find out that if 10 has met it, it remains true. Well, we don't know which Nigeria belongs. But then you see the issue of debt. Most of these West African countries are seriously indebted to the Western world. And most of them are even indebted to the East, the Russian, the Chinese. They are the one controlling most of those countries. And that is why most of the time it's been difficult to really get this ECO. ECO has been there even before Buhari, that they have been speculating that there should be one currency for West African countries, at least to strengthen the economy for bilateralization. But because of our inordinate ambition to borrow, especially West African country, and all these the West using money to really lay our leaders by giving them all these loans. Of which you don't even know what they do with it, especially most of these West African countries. They are really indebted. And when you look at the value of the currency of some of these countries, they are nothing to write home about. If I think in Senegal, one of them, that a dollar is almost about 20,000 their currency. So these are some of the issues, because if this thing is not properly streamlined, then ECO may even be less than some of the countries in this African in terms of the value. If they want to, because you trust Trump will always go against anything that want to compete with the dollar. So now Trump will analyze it for you and say you are indebted, you have this, you have that, and by that they cannot place it above a particular threshold in terms of the value to have in the international market. But then I think they have the West. No matter what, get the 2 other countries. If 10 has met the condition, then look at the 2 other countries. Can we help them, or what can this country do, or do we step them down so that we pass the 10, so that by the time this day also come up, even the euro we are talking about, it's not all euro. Europe that is also part of this, that is euro. Most of them are there, some of them are not there. So it now depends on the way they see. But I still believe that they should push it up, just as we have they just won a passport for West African countries. We should also have this currency, so that with this now, then they will put a strict condition. This condition now, they should ensure that they follow it strictly, so that any country that goes to be sanctioned, we should get to a point in our economy where we are less dependent on these foreign aids, foreign grants, foreign this, foreign that. We should also get to the point the Israel government should make a very strict rule to the effect of borrowing, and also this GDP thing, so that everybody should begin to work within themselves. God so bless us in Africa, except West Africa. You have gold in abundance, you have lithium in abundance, you have all these natural resources in abundance that can be tapped to make the economy better. But our leaders, because they have been deceived by this Western world. So they what we call neo-colonialism, where they now begin to send you free money, free this, free that, and you declare what you have. Or in the situation where they are the one now coming in to really use the natural resources, export it to their country, bring a finished product and come and sell back to you. So these are some of the things I expected to do. Even without even the ECOWAS or African Union, I also decide on some of these issues and said, it's high time we now stand on our own. It's high time we take our resources by ourselves. It's high time everybody now begin to look at what he has begin to use it. Now, this will depend more on African countries. This will depend on West Africa. This will depend on all these natural resources. We are the natural resources to their company. So they can stand and say, no way. Then they will be forced to now say, okay, now negotiate with us. And by those so doing, we should have our currency. By the time they are coming here, we have more that we are.
But will that come really easy? Can we really break off from the West or from the East?
And this question is the reason why we will not be able to do it, because most of the leaders felt that it will not be possible that it's going to have strict restriction or strict penalty against us. But then, as a sovereign nation, if we are the owner of these resources, it's high time we stand up and say,
start to do something.
Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore said, well, this is what we are going to do, and then we are going to revive this nation, and from being the third world country, we are going to make it the best. And they make some resource, some policy that is very difficult for them, that is not making life for them. But today, when you talk of the tech world, you go to Singapore, and today they are out of third world country. In fact, they are competing primarily with other parts of the world. We just need a leader, and these leaders to come together and say, enough of a free meal, enough of free coffee, enough of free tea, and let's all stand on our own and do what we can do with our resources. And you'll be surprised that these people will be forced to come. Look at what happened in Burkina Faso. By the time they said no more, don't come for our lithium again, and because they use some of these things to power their industry, look how the problem they are giving that young man there, because he stood and said no way. And the same thing in Senegal. So if all of them forsook and said, let's stand, what do you have in your country? What do you have in your country? What do you have in your country? Let's combine together and see how we can help ourselves to begin to utilize these resources and now sell it to them, so that our economy can grow, our currency can be valuable. So, but the moment, as long as they are seeing it as it's impossible, they are afraid of what can happen to them, then they will always continue to be subservient, because it doesn't matter when the dollar is about 20,000 in a particular country, a dollar is about almost 1,300 in our country, a dollar is about 5,000 or 10,000 in another country. How do you now bring your echo together? What value is it going to have when that country is not even stable as a country in terms of the economy? So that's some of the issue. That's what we need. Before we can say that we want to have a stable or a one currency across, then it has to have a stable economy across the West African country, so that we can have something to brag upon and say, okay, now this is it. We are now taking a decision and say we are no more allowing anybody to come into our land. You have to pass through the protocol, you have to follow due process, and you have to get a license, and we regulate you. We are not taking an resources or raw material there, put the factory here and begin to do it here, so that our children can have employment, so that our currency can have it. Then we can now export to them there. And the day they are able to do that is the day that Africa begin to come out of slavery and begin to take their position. And God has placed them. We are the raw materials of the world. And in here, an African that can live that this covetousness of getting free money, all the leaders and impoverishing the people, is the day that we're going to be free economically.
Oh, all right then. But we wait to see how that will happen, because we have been talking about the political will to do a lot of things. Now you look across West Africa, and really there's a whole lot we must consider. And so we wait to see how interesting this gets. If Nigeria, you have Senegal, you have many nations, I mean, in Africa, and even particularly West Africa.
We have Guinea, we have Ghana, we have Nigeria.
If they can begin to do...
And all of them have a very fantastic natural resources.
Indeed.
Look at the gold in Ghana. Look at
Indeed.
the lithium in Burkina Faso. Look at the gold in Nigeria. And look at lithium in Nigeria. Look at gold in Nigeria. Look at what Chinese are doing for us in San Falade. Some of them are the ones who sponsoring this technology, the terrorists that were saying to protect this their mind. And Nigerian government is not looking that way. The day we say no way to them, and we say we don't want your aid, we don't want your money, but we want to work on our natural resources. After all, if African West African countries borrow money to develop these natural resources, they will get it back. These people depend on it. But France depend on lithium from Africa. And now that Burkina Faso say no way, they are having problems, and that's why they are fighting that man. The day all of us say no way, it's then that we are ready to rise. But as long as we are determining all these AIDS, this one AIDS, that one AIDS, that money, why can't we can even do it? We can develop it ourselves. After all, we have the best. Africa have the best across the world. All we need to do is that the willpower to say no way. We can stand on our way. It's then that we are free. But as long as they are sending this, they are small change to us, and it's becoming big before the hands of our leaders, then they will never do it.
All right, let's get to Iran this morning. Trump reacts to Mojtaba Khamenei's emergence as Iran's new supreme leader. That's in Sun newspaper. Other papers, of course, talking about this, but let's take the Sun's version of that story. President Donald Trump of the United States has expressed dissatisfaction with Mojtaba Khamenei's selection as Iran's new supreme leader. Trump stated this on Monday when interacting with Fox News. He claimed Iran has previously launched hundreds of missiles against Middle Eastern countries, but that the regional balance had shifted as a result of recent U.S. military efforts. According to him, the United States had dealt Iran a severe blow and insisted that Tehran's capabilities had been significantly weakened. The Republican further said that ships should not fear crossing the Strait of Hormuz despite rising tensions in the region. Now, he says, quote, "I'm not happy Mojtaba Khamenei selected as Iran's new supreme leader," unquote, he said. Iranian state television reported on Sunday that Mojtaba Khamenei was chosen to succeed his father as the country's supreme leader. Now, looking at all of the story, yes, he's not satisfied with that. Is this to tell us that there is so much we're still going to see with the position of U.S. on Iran, that is, more attacks is going to go there? We're not going to have peace anytime soon.
Just as he said, that he will be the one that will choose the next leader.
He said so.
Last week. So it will if it's going to allow anybody, it won't be the son of
the son.
The late one. So it won't allow that. It will never allow that. Now, I think what US and Iran is trying to plan is that we are going to choose somebody that is favorably disposed to our cause. And so you have a lot of people that are serving in asylum in the US. I think I forgot the name of somebody that they want to push ahead. But that one is not this Shiite, it's not this, it's one of these Islamic extremists in that country. So now that is the one they want to push for. But then, in their law, and Ayatollah is chosen by a group of people, and majority of are Muslims, and they decide that since we have chosen that person, you take him out. Now let's put his son there at least. But the US knows that the son is like father, like son, that will only continue all this thing, uranium enrichment and every other thing. And that's why they said, no way, they're not going to take that. Talking about the depping blow, I think it's both sides. It's just that the percentage is small, because when you look at all the US bases across the Middle East, is that a lot of has happened to them. It's like the one in Saudi Arabia, the one in Yemen, the one in Qatar. In fact, a lot of things has happened there. And I'm very sure that by the time US is counting the cost on this war, they will know that they have lost a lot of things. Though more have done in the side of Iran. But the Iranian, they have a lot of bunkers. So by the time you think that you have dealt blow to them, who expected that after that 12 days war, 2025 or so thereabout, that they will still have this kind of capabilities. It means that they have a lot. They have a lot that they are underground, that they are putting up. And so I'm not sure that US has gotten most of them. But the one thing that concerns us more, just as I said, is that why we will say thank God of this war because of the price of crude oil that is coming, but we are also going to have the effect. Today, a liter of petrol is 1,100, 1,150, 1,040. As the case may be, depends on where you go to buy it. And it's not stopping yet, because now, there has been a lot of issues with Dangote and the marketers, the IOC. Now, the NNPC refused to give enough crude to Dangote, so Dangote have to resort to importation of crude, which has affected it because Iran has blocked Hormuz. Hormuz is the channel through which all the oil from Middle East, from Saudi Arabia, Aramco, and every other passes through to Africa and to other parts of Europe. But now the place has been blocked. So even Dangote is not getting enough crude. And so by now he has stopped production. So which means that if care is not taken in the next weeks, we'll be seeing queue in the street. So while we say positive, now we are also having the effect of it. The money is increasing. It's now $106 now. A barrel is now $106 now in the market. That's Brent crude. But then look at now the way it is. So this war, I don't know, because the Iranian is not backing down, and it means that the thing we have to continue. And Trump has gone to the point that he doesn't want to be seen to lose the war, so he also is not backing down. Israel is not backing down, even though most of them are losing ship, they are losing fighter bomb, they are losing personnel. But at the same time, the war continues, which means that if we don't continue to do something, our president does not begin to think now and say what to do next, then the whole world will soon begin to feel the impact, just as many have started feeling it. And in Nigeria, before, in Nigeria, anything that happens, Nigeria is the first to now implement it. Most of the people that are selling at 1,100 now have this crude board, and when it was sold to them at 790, when they are selling at 815, but now they just change the pump price and put about 300. So, and that's the way it is. So, but talking about the US will never allow the son of Khamenei to be the Iranian leader. And any moment from now, that man, if he's not careful, will be taken out.
Maybe taking out.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about some more relationship with other countries. Now, our image on the other side of the world and what has been going on, really. We have read quite a number of stories, disturbing stories about how Nigerians are treated in other parts of the world. Well, maybe other nations nationals may also have this experience, but it looks to be very more on our side, and we should pay attention. That's what will lead me to the story in Punch newspaper today. NIDCOM seeks freedom for 42 Nigerians held in Mozambique. NIDCOM seeks freedom for 42 Nigerians held in Mozambique. The Nigerians in Diaspora Commission has called for the release of 42 Nigerians recently arrested at a spare parts market in Mozambique, suspecting the incident to be a xenophobic attack on Nigerian citizens. The chairman and chief executive officer of the commission, Abike Dabiri-Riwa, said the development was disturbing, particularly as no offense has reportedly been leveled against the affected Nigerians. In a statement in Abuja on Sunday and signed by the agency's director of media, public relations and protocols, Abdurrahman Balogun, Dabiri-Riwa described the arrest as distasteful and said that Nigerians were allegedly singled out for arrest. Every time we have, of course, NIDCOM, we have other Nigerians still on the same page that what's going on with Nigerians in these countries. I mean, yes, sometimes we hear that they were held for this, they were held for robbery, they were held for fraud. But in many cases, true, we see that you just hear that Nigerians attacked here, Nigerians are arrested here. And so, is it our fault that we have not managed our image well, or what's really going on? How have you reviewed this subsequent occurrences happening to Nigerians on the other side of the world?
By now, Nigeria is in every part of the world become an endangered species. Now, no thanks to one, government ineptitude and lack of focus on the youth and the young Nigeria, government lack of focus and good programs on over the years on the welfare of Nigerians. And now Nigeria can fare better. Government lack of focus on how to make the life of Nigeria much more better than this. So now because of that, Nigerians now begin to look at how to find a better way and how to escape. So now with that, now you begin to have people now begin flows of Nigerian to most of these countries, Europe, even African countries, and a lot of things like that. And so now by the time they see Nigeria, they have this natural notion that Nigerians anywhere they are bad, even though there are no country that doesn't have bad people, but because they are Nigerian, so they see them as worse. And no thanks also to some Nigerians that are doing a lot of things. Our youths are sometimes have made our image not to be too good in the international world. By this, they are scammers. By this, they are all these vices that Nigerians is involved in. So that's the reason why whenever they see Nigeria, the first thing is to suspect Nigeria and be able to treat them as being dangerous. And that's why anywhere they see them, they treat them like that. But again, I also now look at these Nigerians that some of them also, they are not patient enough. Most of them now find themselves in some of this trap in a means to find a better way for themselves. But they don't know that it's not green. The grass is not green, even at the other side, just as they thought that it is. The way some people from Nigerians, and even as we are saying now, some Nigerians still feel that they need to go there because they are picking dollars, they are picking pound sterling, they are picking some of this money out there on the streets. It is when they get there now they now find out that it's not as easy as this. In Nigeria, where you can go to your neighbors and get something to eat, even this Gary, there you have to walk to eat, and if you don't walk to eat, then there's nowhere to stay. You stay in train station, you stay in gas station, or you stay on the street, and that's how it has been. It has been because of the notion of the people to us, and it's also because our leaders have not paid enough attention to our people to ensuring that the welfare of every citizen is well taken care of, and that's why everybody is going out there. Also because the rate at which is falling, so it almost before when you say 1 million safer, it's not up to 250,000. It was before. And when I say before, I'm not talking about 10 years ago. So for today now, CFA is stronger than Naira. Almost every African country where currency is stronger than Naira. So that's why people now feel that even if I go to Ghana, 1,000 cedis, 1,000 Naira is less than 500 cedis or cedi about. Even in Ghana, even in Burkina Faso, so that's why people now feel that they should go there. But not knowing that they have been targeted as such. So anywhere they get to, and you need to see the way they are killing Nigeria. And finally, because Nigeria also does not take care of their own, in every other part of the world, when a citizen of that country is arrested, you see the diplomatic mission, people now rising up and say, you don't kill our people, you send them to us. A lot of diplomatic moves that our leaders will take to rescue Nigeria. But our leaders is not like that. You see them killing them, beheading them in Russia, beheading them in Saudi Arabia, killing them for flimsy excuses, and Nigeria will virtually not do anything. You see Nigeria being trapped and nothing happens to them. So it happens everywhere. Even at home here, Nigerian soldiers died, and you will see government do anything about their families. But look at what happened, the picture we are seeing on social media. 4 Americans that died in Iran. The U.S. president was there to give them the last honor, and their children, their families, they were taken care of. No, who will not want to join? And that's why Nigeria will not join Nigeria Army here. They go to U.S. and join U.S. Army, U.S. Marine. So because they know that they are taken care of. So Nigeria doesn't care. Now here, they give them. One day I was looking at the feeding. It's a Nigerian that was member of U.S. Army that was showing what they were eating. They showed a very big fish, big food, good food. But they are giving Nigerians 1,500 naira feeding money for a day. And you want them to now go and be fighting and be drinking. So there are a lot of factors that contribute to that. But then again, we thank God for what Nikon is doing, but they need to do better. The Nigerian government must show enough that you don't kill the Nigerians anywhere. Well, if I'm the president of Nigeria, if my citizen did anything, send it to me, let me punish him. But you kill them, I have a lot of things to deal with you here. At least I know you have one thing or the other here. So I'm saying, don't kill my people. To kill my people, I first send your ambassador home. No, I don't want your ambassador. Why should you kill my people? Today, they just kill Nigeria anyhow. And Nigerians too, when they get there, because of this inordinate ambition, they want to get money. They want to build house at home. They want to do a lot of things there. And so you see them involve themselves in a lot of vices. And these people, when they arrest them, the law of the land is not Nigeria where some people are more equal than the other, where judiciary is not really like it's how it's supposed to be. But there are laws, and nothing can change that law. So once they are arrested, and even some of them, they are just victimizing them for being in Nigeria.
All right. All right, let's take some comments on Facebook now. You can do well to also join Midas Radio 90.5 FM on Facebook. And the numbers to call if you want to be a part of this very quickly. We'll take only a few calls because we have about 2 stories to deal with this morning. 0915 090 5905. 0915 090 5905 or 0704 100 1905. This comment on Facebook says, it's from Dr. Mrs. Ma Olebara from Owerri. Women have in abundance all it takes to occupy leadership positions and are known to play vital roles as mothers, organizers, stabilizers, social and political activists. Yet, the society has not given adequate recognition. Rather, they are discriminated against, interesting, and have become targets of violence. If women are in positions of authority, many broken hearts will be mended, many mournful souls will be comforted, many depressed minds will find hope, and many crying faces will experience joy. That's talking about the IWD. Olaleke Olusoyi says, good morning. All right, I think that's it there. So let me take this call and we'll get back to the story I said we're going to look into this morning. If you are still there, we'll love to take your comment. Okay, we'll go over that. Federal government set to roll out 100 billion naira solar program for public institutions, and that's in Vanguard newspaper. Federal government set to roll out 100 billion naira solar program for public institutions. The federal government has approved 100 billion naira under the National Public Sector Solarization Initiative, NPSSI, to provide reliable electricity to public institutions across the country. Let's leave it there. So, based on various reports and investigations over the past decades, you can always look this up. The federal government is estimated to have invested over 7 trillion naira into the power sector since its privatization in 2013. So, there was a story about even the presidential villa, using solar and what have you somewhere, unfounded, but, well, we have this flying around anyway. So, if this is what is happening now, this is what the federal government is saying it plans to do to provide reliable. What happened to this trillions of naira? Where is this money? What's going on? Is this to tell us that, okay, Nigerians, well, at this point, forget about enjoying power as such. So just let's find a way around it. What's really happening?
sometimes when you hear this money as they just mentioned them, you want to laugh. As if Nigeria is different from every other part of the world. Because if by up to date, they said they have spent close to 7 trillion naira on power, and we are still moving between 8, 9, 10 megawatts, then you want to ask the question, is the naira that worst or bad? That 7 trillion naira. How much does it take to install a new power set? How much does it take to install a new hydro power? And this time around, we even talk about small hydro, not even all these gigantic ones. We have hydro power in different states. And they can say, for example, that Ikunde can be there and put a small hydro that will power Ekiti State and part of Ondo State or Kogi State. Those states, they can put water, they can put small hydro. And I'm not sure it can be up to maybe 100 billion before you are talking of 10 billion. So if you have 7 trillion, why don't you now empower every state that have hydro? And you know, Buki, that God so bless us in this country that everything that can give us power, God give us. In Sokoto Assist, and that's northeast there, you have a lot of sunlight that can really burn human being if somebody is not careful. In the south here, you have a lot of water, volume of water. I mean, that is enough. Even there are some that even though in sea, you couldn't see the difference. You have a wind in the almost part of the south there. So what are we talking about? Look at sunlight. We can put panels there. That now this what they are talking about that they used to make money or corruption, because sometimes we know how much a panel is. Those states here, Luwadia, you have silica sand. That silica sand can be developed to make a semiconductor devices that can be brought into a panel that can attract, that is, collect this sunlight energy and convert to electrical energy. Now, what are we talking about? You can use the northeast for that project, use the south for wind project, use the southeast here or southwest here for water project, and do small hydro power. And you cannot even, I'm not sure you will still be spending 7 trillion if you are going to do that. But sometimes when you hear some of these things, you begin to laugh and say, what type of nation, what type of country is this? They just mentioned the amount. The other time, I think it is 35 billion they want to use to power Aso Rock. Aso Rock is a country. What is it I want to put in Aso Rock that you take 35 billion? No wonder they are taking something billion to build a house. So it's a lot of things. So you will see that these things are just mere corruption. These are the things that we read. These are the things that we know. This is our own area. Nobody can come and this up. But when they say like that, sometimes when government officials begin to say some things, you know that it's nothing but absolute corruption. But because when they say it, nobody can question or query them. And that's why the government can be bold enough to tell us that they have expended 7 trillion on power and we are still moving, we are still under 10 megawatts. Whereas the amount of money, that same amount is not expended in South Africa and they are now about 60 gigawatts. Whereas South Africa is just 60 million. Japan is just 11 million and they have more than 21 gigahertz. So what are we talking about? But because now in Nigeria, every opportunity that Nigeria has is a means to make money. So when you give them a contract to do, they have to it. And they say they have expended that. So people will tell you that they have used 200 billion to build roads, 500 billion to build roads, as if we don't know the cost per kilometer of a road. So these are some of the issues. It's just mere corruption, nothing more, nothing less. Because if Nigeria has 7 trillion to spend on the power, by now everywhere this was supposed to have at least 24 hours power supply. And it's very simple. These days, we don't talk of energy again. We talk about synergy. Synergy is where you combine different energies together. And I just told you that in the north there, track sunlight and combine it to energy. In the south, track wind and combine it to energy. In the south too, use that gas. We are wasting gas. And all that we need to do is to put a turbine on that gas and call it gas turbine and connect to the grid. In the southwest here, we have a lot of water body. Now, this water body, do small hydro power, connect it to the grid. In the south and part of the south, use the wind. In the north, use solar. And now put all of this together so that there will not be a time that will not have power. When the water is going down as a result of a dry season in the southwest, we'll be using the sun. At that time, sun will be at the peak. And when the sun is going down, the rain is coming, we'll be using the water. And the gas is always there. They are flaring it. We have it in abundance. Instead of passing this gas to every home and reduce the value of gas, cooking gas, but yet they are flaring it. They are wasting it. Okay, I served in Bayelsa State. Throughout the time I served in Bayelsa State, I can count the number of times I went to the rain because the whole place was so heat up because of this flaring. These are the things that in the advanced country they make use of and to their benefit and advantage. But rather Nigeria, they will not, even if anybody moves that, they will say no, it's not possible because anything that can stop Nigeria from making money corruptly and reaching themselves, they will stop it. Any policy that will stop them. And that's why NFPC has stopped. That's why Dangote is having a problem because Nigeria doesn't want to stop importation. They know that money is coming from there. And that's the reason why an individual can have 7 billion to pay school fees of his children. Hello?
Yes. Yes, I'm listening.
That's why an individual, and a member of ministry can have 7 billion to pay the school fees of his children. He left that office without collecting a dime from his hand. And that's why we're talking of Kyari now, spending 210 trillion throughout his time in NNPC. And starting fake pro that will not enter anywhere. At the end of the day, Kyari will go away like that with that money. And that's the same where we have Malami now talking about the 202 billion and he's another one fake pro. At the end of the day, we do play bargaining and go with the money. And many of the former governors are rolling about the streets with billions of naira.
Now, we'll have to go now.
So these are some of the issues.
All right then. Okay, Abiodun Sunday on Facebook says, great job. Nibo Tolushola says, kudos to engineer Obayonjo on his analysis on power this morning. Okay, thank you very much. Well, that will be it this morning on Paper Trends on Midas Radio 90.5 FM. Thank you very much, engineer Muyiwa Obayonjo, for analyzing this development with us.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning.
All right, good morning. Okay, then. So that's Paper Trends this morning on Midas Radio. Thank you very much for being a part of our world today. Now, another time to join is tomorrow, Tuesday, 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Have a wonderful week. I am BUKOLA FORTUNE-OMOSOLA. Bye-bye.